You'll sign it?
Well, good afternoon. Thank you so much for coming. Welcome to the Aspire Project's first STEM luncheon of 2022-23 academic year as part of our STEM Women series. I'm the PI of Aspire Project, which is NSF-funded advanced grant, and my name is Ezra Denaro, Professor of Earth Sciences. For some of you, this could be a first participation, so I would like to give information about our Aspire project a little bit. It stands for Adaptations for Sustainable Policies and Increased Recruitment Excellence and Diversity. We adopt evidence-based strategies from other advanced institutions to change the institutional climate at University of Memphis. As part of the Connect under Aspired, the primary focus of the STEM Women series is to provide mentors and mentees participating in the Connect Women Mentoring Women program. Today's speaker, let's recognize today's speaker, Dr. Maria del Socorro Hubbard. She's head of Global Learning and Development, Silvamo Corporation, the world's paper company. The title of her talk is Women in Leadership, History and Challenges and Road Ahead. Her career success has mapped like 20 years professional experience in almost any industry: manufacturing, nonprofit, healthcare, consumer services, gaming, hospitality, retail, banking, transportation, and distribution. She specializes in human resource development, organizational effectiveness, employee performance management, organization, culture development, leadership training, development, succession planning, and professional coaching. She is fluent, oral and written in Spanish language. In addition to innovative curriculum design and development, Maria is a frequent guest speaker on leadership topics and expert facilitator. She holds a doctorate in instruction and curriculum leadership and master's degree in instructional design, technology, and bachelor's in communication fine arts from University of Memphis, so our alumni. And she's a native of New Orleans and has lived in Memphis since 1982. So her passion for social justice has led her to civic organization board membership and leadership dedicated to improving lives of women through education, community, and the advancement of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So thank you for participating in the STEM networking series and all that you continue to do to further the mission of Aspire. And now I will leave it to Dr. Maria del Socorro.
Long. Really not that old, I think. Good afternoon, Maria Hubbard. I have a hat trick of degrees from the University of Memphis. All three are from here, so I am true blue in every sense of the word. I was thrilled to get the request to talk about women in leadership, so that we could take a cultural anthropology type view of how we got to where we are today. And while this centers on women in leadership and what barriers, obstacles, what does the history say, how did we get here, is aimed at women, I am thrilled, especially to see two men in the audience today. So bravo and bravo, thanks for being here. Silvamo Corporation might sound like a new name to you, but its predecessor is probably not. Silvamo Corporation is the paper's manufacturing spinoff of International Paper. So last October, the paper's business spun off from International Paper and became Silvamo Corporation. We are headquartered here in Memphis and in Brussels. We have installations worldwide, so we have an international footprint in various countries, and our most recent merger was with a paper mill in Sweden. And the reason why I love this topic for this particular group is because I am in that engineering output. So we have foresters, chemical engineers, mechanical engineers, system engineers, every possible type of engineer that would be needed to make paper from pulp. So we start with a tree and end up here. You might have seen some of our paperwork with in Hammermill. We make Hammermill paper in the United States. Also, several other brands. Do any of you ever eat a Reese's peanut butter cup? You know that little cardboard piece that comes in the peanut butter cup? We make those. So from the smallest to the largest, we make paper. And we need more women in paper manufacturing. So I'm just going to put that out there, and let's talk about how we got there. When you think about women in leadership, we have a long history, well before the history of paper, papyrus, where you see some of the depiction here. So anybody in the room know of a woman leader that you admire? You know, there's someone immediately comes to mind, right? As you are thinking about that person, what are the qualities that make that person come to your mind first? So we're short on time, so it's not the interactive part that I wanted it to be, but I do want you to think about what are the components, or what are the attributes that that one woman has that caused you to think of her first? What is it? Was it her communication skills? Was it her organization skills? Was it her education? Was it her empathetic approach to things? Was she able to do that critical thing of first persuade people to think differently and then convince them to behave differently? Do you see the continuum of what the application of those skills might be? And is it in that woman? Further, is it in you? Is it in you? Let's take a look. I'm going to go back in history to the Stone Age. The picture that you see here is a hunter-gatherer created from a skull that was discovered in Sweden. This is what she might have looked like. We start in the Stone Age because this is where women came to power first, at least as far as we know. Because at the beginning of history of mankind, it was about who was feeding everybody. So hunter-gatherers were in charge. The hunters were in charge because they were supplying the food. But as nomads started to move around, and then the families got big and they couldn't move around as much anymore, they were a little bit, their hunting grounds were in a little bit, and they exhausted a lot of their food supply. But in the meantime, the women were staying at home and planting things. So then there was a change in ownership because the women were now feeding the tribe. In fact, they were growing so much good stuff that they ended up with a surplus. What happens when you have a surplus? You commerce with other tribes. And so then they started building out their tribes and connecting with other tribes and saying, okay, well, I have a little extra of this. If you have a little extra of that, then we can sure use it. And that is how women came to power in the Stone Age. But then something happened. The wheel, fire, and as land pieces grew and mothers were handing down to their daughters, the implements to farm the land were primitive and heavy, and really the men were better equipped to manage those tools. And at that point in time, the power structure shifted. And in fact, it's been a man's world ever since. Let's see what that means exactly. And don't get me wrong, we love it, but you ought to know that this is how we got to where we are today. So in ancient history, we have plenty of evidence through etchings and drawings of women leading in the military. Lots going on there. Here's one example. And even though I did a global search, I really only found white people. So I invite anybody, anywhere, to do the similar research and find not white people. Because things were going on in the rest of the world, why weren't they recorded? Or were they recorded in a different way that we don't have access to today? So these are the big research questions behind women in what might be traditionally male roles. What's next? How do I get to the next one? All right. This is an example of some art that deploys the male gaze. Do you see what's happening in the photo? In the, you might not be able to see it, but there is a face right here. And that face is of someone who is gazing upon the reposing woman. But that face and that head is 2, maybe 3 times larger. So it's like it's not to scale. It's not like somebody's just happened to be in the window, but it's someone who is purposely in the window. So while you look at this, the art that came out of the post-classical era is very male gaze oriented. This is not Maria talking, this is the research coming through, saying, you know, this is how women were depicted in that time. Usually as possessions of others. And now here we are. So here we have plenty going on, driven by politics in modern history. You might recognize this as the pink pussy hat situation. Men, women, and women of all colors all together working. And what we have seen from a technology standpoint is as time has gone by where, you know, in the early Stone Age, when the tools of feeding the family were rudimentary, heavy, hard to manage, the tools of feeding the family today are quite different. In what way do you think they are quite different? Anybody? What is it about the way that we work today that's quite different?
Sorry for hovering in the back. I'm having it almost, I can't sit down very long. But there's more equality, but the expectations of roles is the same.
That's right. Underlying it all is how do we make money? In other words, how do we feed our family? Still that, right? Technology has played a huge role in leveling the playing field between men and women. You know, in a lot of technology fields, there's really no need for heavy lifting or, you know, hard work in the fields. Now it's very intellectual oriented. In engineering areas, we have technology that helps us do our jobs better and really blurs the line between men and women in the workplace. I'll go a step further and ask you, and the vice provost is here, maybe you can shed some light on a statistic. That there are more women coming out of graduate school than men. Is it true?
I don't know the graduation numbers, but there are more women than men enrolled in the university. I would assume that carries through graduation.
If we have good graduation rates, I'm talking about 95%, then we can imagine that we have more women coming out of graduate school than we have men at this point. How did we get there? That really deserves a little checking on, see, how did we get to that? How did we get to that? Because the result is, you know, we have a field of women, and in the paper manufacturing business, we're trying to get more women in our engineering parts of the organization. You look at our whole organization, it's very male dominated because the organization that we came from was also very male dominated because it's 125 years old. And so it just happened that way. And so we have some goals set up to try to get more women in our engineering sciences to work at the same or better pay. None of this 75 cents for every $1 that our man makes. We've leveled that. And we need more women, but they're not applying. Why not? Why not? I want to ask you about these CEOs. Many of these are currently still in their CEO spots. Some have just left. But what do you see here? There's something the same, something similar threaded through all of these women leaders. They are leaders of huge organizations, but what do you notice about them? Short hair. What is up with the short hair? Okay, so we have had instances of organizations who have asked their women leaders in some cases, women engineers, women employees, women sales masters to wear their hair up. Why? It's because the visual impact that they give is that they are not up to the task. That's something we can change. And so, yeah, I'm glad to see these two guys in here because I'm sure your mind is going, oh, have I done that before? If you're not thinking that, you might think about it later. But yeah, short hair. The other thing, what else do you see? Oh, sorry. I didn't know. Okay. There you go. What else do you see? Dark hair, what else? How about their clothing? You see a lot of blazers? Sorry. Yeah, blazers. Why is that? It's the power suit thing. Colors make a difference. As I was getting ready to do this, getting dressed at home, I had a blazer put out. And I said, well, no, wait. Hold on, I'm changing this right now. And I'll just put my HR sweater on because all HR wears sweaters. But somewhere in between, I wanted to just give you a visual impression of how other people might view women in leadership positions and give you something to think about. There's a lot to unpack in all of this, and we're short on time, so I'm going to push pretty far here quickly. But women face phenomena in the workplace. Is there one item on here that you are not familiar with or want to learn more about? Glass cliff. Okay. The glass cliff phenomenon is when women are assigned jobs or roles that men would not take if their wife depended on it, because it's a losing proposition. But women will take it. Why? Why will women take it? Huh?
For the sake of advancement.
Yes, they'll do it because it's their only way up. It's their only vertical move. And they'll say, I'll take a chance on it. And besides which, I think somewhere in the feminine psyche is a rescuer syndrome working where we think we can fix everything. Sure about that? It's worth checking into. Just put that out there. But yeah, that's it. It's jobs that women are assigned that men would never take because they know, oh no, I'm not doing that. And somewhere in there's a conference among the deciders who say, yeah, well, if there's someone who's willing to take it on, we're willing to give them the chance to do it. And I have seen personally in my career, women fail hard when they're giving these tasks. And it hurts them in a way that they don't ever want to work again. So don't let that be you. Anything else on here that seems familiar or unfamiliar and you want to know more about? Sticky floor. So sticky floor is amazing. These are women who wish they had a glass ceiling problem. They are in jobs that they will hardly ever move vertically from. They are stuck at that level. Their feet are stuck to it because all the people around them do not believe that they can do anything better. So they won't give them a chance. Now, it's a two-way street. I have to demonstrate that I can. I have to demonstrate that I want to. And then I have to put it in front of somebody who can help me get there. So we need each other for this. It's not a competition. You know, crabs in a bucket will pull each other out and say, no, I'm getting in before you. They'll walk over each other out of competition for survival. So we need to do better. And the more we know, the better chance we have of doing better. Take a look at this and tell me, in what way did Princess Anne make history last month? She wore pants to her mother's funeral. What else? It's a military outfit. This is a woman in a man's military uniform. She almost did not get permission to wear it. But if she was going to properly represent her country for her mother's funeral, she had to wear it. So now she's stuck between a rock and a hard place, between culture and duty. And so she made history by wearing pants to her mother's funeral. Not just any mother. The Queen of England.
Charles wore a skirt.
And Charlotte's wore a skirt, how about that? I don't think they call them skirts though. Sure looks like it though. The contrast is amazing, isn't it? Take a look at this collection of brain power and superstardom. These are the senior leaders at the company where I work. Observation? It's simple. All guys except for the HR person, Peggy, which we love Peggy. We love all of these people. And so because of this, there is this. It's really not enough for us as an organization to say that's okay. We are pointing ourselves over the next 10 years to do better. From a sustainability standpoint, because we don't want you to think trees and think paper and we cut down trees, like, you know, environmental issues. The truth is, we plant more than we utilize. Thriving people and communities, we're present everywhere and doing more and more all the time. This, my being here, is one of those. Looking ahead to women in the workplace, and not just in the workplace, but in leadership positions. Lots of reasons for that, and we're not done. Here's more. This is a father-daughter team at our Brazil mill. We have 3 mills in Brazil, 3,000 people working in Brazil. This is not the only father-daughter team. It's one of many. So we're moving in the right direction because the playing field is leveling. We are becoming better informed. We're making better decisions. Our organizations want to include and engage everyone in getting the job done. Not any particular focus, except where there is a gap. And there is a gap. And so I'm here to ask you, as you move through engineering degrees and you know people who are moving through engineering degrees and want an engineering job, why not look at a paper mill? Why not? We need them, we want them, we're fishing for them.
You're anticipating that size graduates, not just engineering graduates, chemistry?
Absolutely. Everything, not just engineering, we utilize everyone. Whether, science, certainly in all of our technology departments, we actually have a lot of women in technology in our organization. But as you get further vertical up toward the top, it's fewer women and more men. And we're trying to figure out how to make that balance better. We'll do it through our recruiting and hiring practices. That's certainly one way to do it. The and with the work that I am in, which is leading the global learning and development for all 7,500 employees, gives me the opportunity to say, what programs are we putting in place? What do I make? What do I buy? That will help women move into those leadership positions, shine, and bring others with them in all parts of the organization. So if you're wondering what it would take, and so this may be more for your students than it is for you. But if you were to ask, what does it take to be successful as a woman in an organization such as the one that I work for? Here are some examples. Not that anybody else has been better or worse at these, but these are the winning competencies. And so if you are someone who wants to be known for being able to stand alone, being approachable, this is empathetic listening, empathetic communication, for growing talent, for persevering, being known for these competencies is where it's at. That will help everything move better. So I'm going to leave you with an idea. Check it out. Now what do you see?
See problems to solve.
Obstacles.
There's this came out 2 years ago. I included it in my own dissertation defense as a way to tee up what does it take for women leaders to succeed here and now, everywhere, not just the United States, but globally. There are significant challenges, obstacles. I'd like to think of them more as opportunities, not really obstacles. But really, when you peel back all the layers and you get down to the bottom, why isn't it happening sooner? Could be this. What's worse for me, really, is that it's so well known that an artist in Sweden would actually draw it out in a way that other people could see it and understand it. So it's still here. It's even worse for our African American sisters and brothers. It's even worse for them. Latino. I am Latina. Doesn't sound like it, pero yo hablo español igual como inglés. My mother's from Central America, and so I understand this even from the Latin perspective, Hispanic perspective. It's even worse. It's a little better for Asian women, but at the bottom are African American women and Latinas. So that's what I have for you today. I'm open for questions, comments, and I think we're going to make this presentation available for everyone. Okay, great. Question, comments?